Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. In today's session, we are going to talk about a very important topic, which is hypoxia, and we are going to learn the definition, classification, and types of hypoxia, and different causes or the diseases which can result in hypoxia. First, we will see what is the definition. Now, hypoxia means hypo means less, oxia means oxygen. So hypoxia means less oxygen supply to the tissues. So hypoxia is a condition which is characterized by decreased oxygen supply to the tissues, an amount of oxygen which does not fulfill the oxygen requirements of the tissues to carry out their normal functions. So decreased supply of oxygen to the tissues is known as hypoxia. Now you must differentiate the term of hypoxia from anoxia and hypoxemia. Sometimes these terms are used as synonyms, but in fact these three terms are totally different and they cannot be used as synonym of each other. So hypoxia, I just told you, it is the decreased oxygen supply to the tissues, while anoxia is a condition when tissues are totally deprived of oxygen. No oxygen supply to the tissues is anoxia. An means no, oxia means oxygen. So when the tissues are totally or completely deprived of oxygen, this condition is known as anoxia, while hypoxia is decreased oxygen supply to the tissues. Now the third term is hypoxemia. Hypo means low, xemia means blood. So hypoxemia is decreased arterial oxygen. Decreased oxygen in the blood, this is known as hypoxemia, while hypoxia is decreased oxygen supply to the tissues. Again, I am repeating that hypoxemia is decreased oxygen in the blood, mainly in the arterial blood. So this is not the same as hypoxia. Hypoxemia results in hypoxia, that is decreased oxygen supply to the tissues, while hypoxemia itself is decreased oxygen amount in the arterial blood. Now we move on to the classification of hypoxia. The classification and types of hypoxia. Now the different types of hypoxia are based on the cause which results in decreased oxygen supply to the tissues, or we can say these are classified according to cause of hypoxia. So there are four types of hypoxia. The first one is hypoxic hypoxia. The second type of hypoxia is anemic hypoxia. The third type of hypoxia is stagnant hypoxia. And the fourth type of hypoxia is histotoxic hypoxia. Now these are the four types. Now hypoxic hypoxia, it is basically due to reduced partial pressure of oxygen in the blood. Reduced partial pressure of oxygen in the blood. There can be a lot of causes for reduced partial pressure of oxygen in the blood that we are going to see subsequently. So basic abnormality here you must remember in case of hypoxic hypoxia is decreased partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood. In anemic hypoxia, the basic abnormality is decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Means the blood is not capable of carrying normal amounts of oxygen from the lung to the tissues. So this is the basic abnormality in case of anemic hypoxia. Again, there can be different causes for decrease in oxygen carrying capacity of the blood that we will learn shortly. The third type of hypoxia is stagnant hypoxia. Stagnant means static. So stagnant hypoxia, it results when there is decreased transport of oxygen to the tissues. Decreased transport of oxygen to the tissues. It means that there is normal partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood. There is nothing abnormal with the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, but the oxygen is not being transported to the tissues. There can be different factors resulting in decreased transport of oxygen to the tissues. The fourth type of hypoxia is histotoxic. Histo means tissue, toxic is for the toxicity. So hypoxia resulting from tissue toxicity or tissue poisoning is known as histotoxic hypoxia. And in this case, the basic cause or basic abnormality is the decreased ability of the tissues to utilize oxygen. All other parameters or the variables are normal. There is nothing abnormal with the PO2. Oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is normal. There is normal transport of oxygen to the tissue, but despite all these factors, the tissues themselves are not able to use oxygen. So this type of hypoxia is called as histotoxic hypoxia. Now we are going to discuss each type of hypoxia in detail along with its causes. So the first is hypoxic hypoxia. Now hypoxic hypoxia is also known as arterial hypoxia for the reason that there is decreased partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood. So in this case, in case of hypoxic hypoxia, partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood is decreased. And this decreased partial pressure of oxygen in the blood, it is due to decreased oxygenation of the blood when it passes through the lungs. So when the blood passes through the lungs, the oxygenation of the blood is not optimum. Oxygenation of the blood is decreased, and this results in decreased PO2. And in this case of hypoxic hypoxia, the content of oxygen, the total oxygen content of the arterial blood is also decreased. Because there is decreased oxygenation, so the total amount of oxygen which is present in the blood is also decreased. Also there is a decrease in partial pressure of oxygen in the blood. So here is the checklist for the case of hypoxic hypoxia. The thing which is abnormal or reduced is the partial pressure of oxygen, while the rest of the factors which can contribute to the hypoxia are normal. So normal hemoglobin concentration, oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is normal, and the blood flow to the tissues is normal, and tissue ability to utilize oxygen is also normal. The thing which is decreased is partial pressure of oxygen and the oxygen content of the arterial blood. Now we are going to see what are different causes of hypoxic hypoxia. So there is a very easy way to memorize the causes of hypoxic hypoxia. We will go in a stepwise manner. Since we said that in hypoxic hypoxia, the basic abnormality is decreased partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood and decreased oxygenation of the blood. And now you also think in your mind that what can lead to decreased oxygenation of the blood. That the first factor that should come to your mind is that the oxygen is not there in the atmosphere. That is, the partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere is decreased. Like if someone is trapped in a closed environment, in a small closed environment, or a very important example of decreased partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere is high altitude. At high altitude, the partial pressure of oxygen in the air, the partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere is decreased. So if there is less oxygen in the air, there is less oxygen in the atmosphere, less will go into the lungs and less will diffuse from the lung into the blood, and there will be decreased oxygen content of the blood and decreased partial pressure of oxygen. So first cause of hypoxic hypoxia is decreased partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere. Now we suppose that the partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere is normal. So what can next lead to decreased oxygenation of the blood? The next thing that should come to your mind is that there is decreased pulmonary ventilation, or there is hypoventilation. Hypoventilation means decreased oxygen transfer from the atmosphere into the lungs, into the alveoli. Again, I am repeating, when we talk about hypoventilation, we mean that less oxygen is transported from the atmosphere into the lungs or into the terminal portions of the lung, that are the alveoli and the gas exchange areas. So what can cause decreased pulmonary ventilation? Airway obstruction is one of the cause, that if there is some obstruction in the airways, air will not be able to move to the terminal portions of the lung. And the disease in which there is airway obstruction is like asthma or obstructive lung diseases, you can say. So it can lead to hypoventilation. Then if there is depression of the respiratory center by narcotics, then again there will be decrease in respiratory activity, and decreased respiratory activity will cause hypoventilation. Then paralysis of respiratory muscles, you can very easily understand that it will lead to hypoventilation. And the factors that decrease the lung compliance, these also result in hypoventilation. Like if there is deficiency of surfactant, so it will decrease the lung compliance, and as a result the lungs will not be ventilated appropriately. Less oxygen will go into the lungs. When less oxygen will go into the lungs, less will be transported into the blood. So these are different causes of decreased pulmonary ventilation or hypoventilation, which in turn cause decreased oxygenation of the blood which is passing through the lungs, and this results in decreased partial pressure of oxygen and decreased oxygen content, and this in turn leads to hypoxia. Now we move on to the next step, that there is normal partial pressure of oxygen in the atmosphere, there is normal ventilation, but what is abnormal? The abnormality is in the gas exchange of oxygen across the respiratory membrane. So if there is inadequate gas exchange across the respiratory membrane, this can also result in decreased oxygenation of the blood, decreased PO2 in the arterial blood, and decreased oxygen content of the blood will result in hypoxia. Now, what are different diseases which cause an inadequate gas exchange across the respiratory membrane? These different diseases include the pulmonary fibrosis. We have discussed these diseases and their contribution to the gas exchange in the topic when we talked about the gas exchange process, its mechanism, and the factors affecting the gas exchange. There we have discussed this point. So pulmonary fibrosis is a disease in which thickness of respiratory membrane is increased, due to which there is less gas exchange, so there will be less oxygenation of the blood. In emphysema, we have learned that there is decreased surface area of the respiratory membrane, resulting in inadequate gas exchange. Then in pulmonary edema, there is increased thickness, increased distance of diffusion for the oxygen, so this also results in inadequate or decreased gas exchange across respiratory membrane. So these are different causes of inadequate gas exchange across the respiratory membrane, resulting in hypoxia, a type of hypoxia which is known as hypoxic hypoxia. Now the last cause of hypoxic hypoxia is venous to arterial shunts. Venous to arterial shunts means mixing of the venous blood with the arterial blood. So we all know that venous blood is deoxygenated blood carrying less amount of oxygen. and when it mixes up with the arterial blood, it will decrease the partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood, and it will also reduce the oxygen content of blood, and this can result in hypoxia. So these are different causes of hypoxic hypoxia. You should also try to memorize these causes in a stepwise manner, and this would be very easy for you then. Now remember that when hypoventilation is the cause of hypoxia, when hypoxic hypoxia occur due to hypoventilation, in this condition, hypoxia is also associated with hypercapnia. Hypercapnia is increased carbon dioxide in the arterial blood. So when when hypoventilation or decreased pulmonary ventilation is the cause of hypoxia, it is also associated with hypercapnia or increased concentration of carbon dioxide in the arterial blood. This is very important to remember that oxygen therapy is very effective in case of hypoxic hypoxia, because the basic problem in case of hypoxic hypoxia is less oxygenation of the blood. If you give more oxygen to the patient, more oxygen will cause adequate oxygenation of the blood. So oxygen therapy is effective in case of hypoxic hypoxia. And you must remember that oxygen therapy will diminish hypoxia, but it will not correct hypercapnia. So with oxygen therapy, hypoxia will disappear, will diminish, but not the hypercapnia. Now we move on to the next type of hypoxia, which is anemic hypoxia. Now anemic hypoxia is characterized by decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Now in case of anemic hypoxia, the partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood is normal, but the total oxygen content of the blood is decreased. In the previous lectures, I have explained to you the term of oxygen content. Again, I am repeating. I am telling you that oxygen content is the total amount of oxygen present in the blood, both which is bound to hemoglobin plus the amount of oxygen which is transported in dissolved state. So in case of anemic hypoxia, there is decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, and this decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is because of decreased or non-functional hemoglobin. PO2 is normal because we have learned in the previous lectures that partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood, it is dependent upon the dissolved oxygen in the plasma. Since transport of oxygen in the dissolved state is not affected, it is normal. So PO2 is also normal. But total oxygen content is decreased because of decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the hemoglobin. So oxyhemoglobin is reduced in amount in case of anemic hypoxia. So it can be either due to decreased amount of hemoglobin, like is seen in different types of anemia that you have studied in the blood physiology. So different types of anemias in which there is decreased amount of hemoglobin in the blood, they will result in decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood and anemic hypoxia. Now hemoglobin amount can be normal sometimes, but still the oxygen carrying capacity is decreased. This is because of presence of abnormal forms of hemoglobin. That hemoglobin in amount is normal, but the form of hemoglobin which is present is abnormal. Like if there is more amount of methemoglobin is present, so methemoglobin is not capable of carrying oxygen, so it will reduce the oxygen carrying capacity of the hemoglobin. So it can either be due to decreased amount of hemoglobin, or it can be due to presence of abnormal form of the hemoglobin, both of which result in decreased oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, and hypoxia of the tissues. Now, in case of anemic hypoxia, the oxygen therapy is effective to some extent, but it is not as effective as is the case of hypoxic hypoxia. In case of anemic hypoxia, the basic goal or the focus should be to treat the anemia. If anemia is treated, then hypoxia will be diminished or it will disappear. So, in this case, the goal should be the treatment of the cause. The next type is stagnant hypoxia. Now, stagnant hypoxia is also known as circulatory hypoxia or hypoperfusion hypoxia. It means hypoxia resulting from decreased blood flow to the tissues. Decreased blood flow to the tissues is known as hypoperfusion. So, it is also known as circulatory or hypoperfusion hypoxia and is characterized by decreased blood flow to the tissues. In case of stagnant hypoxia, the partial pressure of oxygen is normal in the blood. The oxygen content of the blood is also normal, and the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is also normal. But the problem is decreased transport of blood to the tissues, decreased flow of the blood to the tissues, resulting in hypoxia. Now, the different conditions which can result in stagnant hypoxia include congestive cardiac failure. So, if a person is in cardiac failure, there is decreased cardiac output, decreased blood flow to the tissues, resulting in hypoxia of the tissues. Circulatory shock can be a cause of stagnant hypoxia, severe hemorrhage, thrombosis or the embolism. Now, thrombosis or embolism, it can be generalized or it can be localized. So, when it is localized thrombosis, it results in localized hypoxia, affecting only a part of the body. Then is the Raynaud's disease. In Raynaud's disease, there is vasoconstriction of the blood vessels, especially in the upper limbs, and causing decreased blood flow to the upper limbs and resulting in hypoxia. Then vasoconstriction due to exposure to severe cold can also result in decreased blood flow to tissues, and there can be decreased oxygen supply to the tissues, and hypoxia can be there. In case of stagnant hypoxia, oxygen therapy has little effectiveness. In case of stagnant hypoxia, oxygen therapy has little effectiveness. It is not totally ineffective, it is effective, but it is not to a greater extent. Now, moving on to the last type of hypoxia, which is histotoxic hypoxia. Histotoxic hypoxia occurs due to inability of the tissues to utilize oxygen. Now, everything is normal, nothing abnormal with the atmosphere, nothing abnormal with the lungs. The lungs are totally perfectly normal. Oxygen transport in the blood is normal, but the problem lies in the tissues themselves. Tissues are not able to utilize oxygen. So, in this type of hypoxia, all other things are normal. PO2 of the blood will be normal. Oxygen content of the blood and oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is also normal. Now, the conditions which can result in histotoxic hypoxia include cyanide poisoning, a very important cause. Cyanide poisoning, it results in histotoxic hypoxia. In cyanide poisoning, the cytochrome enzyme is the function. It becomes we can say it is the poisoning of the cytochrome enzyme system in the cells. So the tissues are not capable of utilizing the oxygen. Then vitamin deficiencies, especially the deficiency of vitamin B, it can result in histotoxic hypoxia. Or if there is genetic deficiencies deficiency of cellular oxidative enzymes, this can also result in histotoxic hypoxia. Now, this is a type of hypoxia in which oxygen therapy is ineffective. It is not effective at all. Again, I am repeating, in case of histotoxic hypoxia, the oxygen therapy is ineffective. There is no effectiveness, there is no benefit gained from the oxygen therapy, because whatever amount of oxygen is present in the blood, the tissues are not able to utilize it. So, in histotoxic hypoxia, the oxygen therapy is not beneficial. So, these were different types of hypoxia. Now, we are going to sum up the important characteristics of each type of hypoxia. So, we begin with the first, that was the hypoxic hypoxia. In hypoxic hypoxia, the arterial partial pressure of oxygen is decreased, while in case of anemic hypoxia, the arterial PO2 is normal, because PO2, it depends upon the dissolved oxygen, and in case of anemic hypoxia, dissolved oxygen is normal and PO2 is also normal, while in case of hypoxic hypoxia, both the oxygen in dissolved state and the oxygen carried by hemoglobin are decreased. Then in case of stagnant hypoxia, again the partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood is normal, and same is the case of histotoxic hypoxia. Now, coming to the other characteristic, which is the oxygen content of the blood. Now, the total oxygen content of the blood. In case of hypoxic hypoxia, the total oxygen content of the blood is decreased. While in case of anemic hypoxia, the oxygen content of the blood is again decreased. Why it is decreased? Because the amount of oxygen which is carried as oxyhemoglobin is reduced, and oxygen content is the dissolved oxygen, and it is the sum of dissolved oxygen and the oxygen carried as oxyhemoglobin. So, in case of anemic hypoxia, the oxygen content of the blood is decreased. In case of stagnant hypoxia, the oxygen content of the blood is normal. And in case of histotoxic hypoxia, again the oxygen content of the blood is normal. Now, coming to the percent saturation of hemoglobin. In case of hypoxic hypoxia, less oxygen is available, so less hemoglobin is saturated with oxygen. So, percentage saturation of hemoglobin is decreased in case of hypoxic hypoxia. Now, what about the anemic hypoxia? Listen very carefully. In anemic hypoxia, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin is normal. The problem is that the total amount of hemoglobin is decreased in anemic hypoxia. If it is due to decreased amount of decreased amount of hemoglobin in the blood. I am repeating this point, that in case of anemic hypoxia, if it is due to decreased amount of decreased amount of hemoglobin in the blood, which is in most of the cases the cause of anemic hypoxia, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin which is present is normal. The problem is the total amount of hemoglobin is reduced. So, whatever hemoglobin is present, it is maximally saturated. But since the total amount of hemoglobin is decreased, therefore the total amount of oxygen carried as oxyhemoglobin is reduced. So, in case of anemic hypoxia, when it is due to decreased amount of hemoglobin in the blood, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin which is present, that is normal. Now, coming to stagnant hypoxia. In case of stagnant hypoxia, the percentage saturation of hemoglobin with oxygen is normal, and so is the case with the histotoxic hypoxia. Now coming to the total oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Now in case of hypoxic hypoxia, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is normal. The problem is oxygen is not available. So there is decreased PO2 and decreased oxygen content. But the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is normal. In case of anemic hypoxia, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is decreased. Why oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is decreased? Because there is decreased amount of hemoglobin present in the blood, and there is decreased amount of hemoglobin transported as oxyhemoglobin. So oxygen carrying capacity of the blood in case of anemic hypoxia, it is decreased. In case of stagnant hypoxia, the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is normal. And same is with the histotoxic hypoxia, that there is nothing abnormal with the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Now coming to the role of oxygen therapy in different types of hypoxia. In case of hypoxic hypoxia, I just told you in the beginning that oxygen therapy is effective. It is very effective in case of hypoxic hypoxia in certain situations. In anemic hypoxia, yes, there is effectiveness, but it is not to the extent as is seen in case of hypoxic hypoxia. In case of stagnant hypoxia, again, there is a little effectiveness of the oxygen therapy. This you must remember, this is very important, that in case of histotoxic hypoxia, oxygen therapy is not at all effective. No effectiveness of oxygen therapy in case of histotoxic hypoxia. Now coming to the last point, which is cyanosis. Now cyanosis is a bluish discoloration of the skin and the mucous membranes. And cyanosis is a very important sign of hypoxia. Now we will see in which type of hypoxia cyanosis is present and which type of hypoxia are not accompanied by cyanosis. In case of hypoxic hypoxia, cyanosis is present, or we can say positive. Cyanosis is present in case of hypoxic hypoxia. In anemic hypoxia, cyanosis is not present. Cyanosis is not seen in case of anemic hypoxia. Why is it so? We will discuss it in detail when we will study cyanosis. In case of stagnant hypoxia, cyanosis is present. It can be seen in case of stagnant hypoxia. In case of histotoxic hypoxia, cyanosis is not present. Cyanosis is not seen in case of histotoxic hypoxia. So even though we say that cyanosis is a very important sign of hypoxia, but absence of cyanosis does not rule out hypoxia. So this is very important to remember, very important clinical point to remember. Although cyanosis is an important sign of hypoxia, but absence of cyanosis does not rule out hypoxia, because there are certain types which might now not be accompanied with cyanosis. So that's all for today. I hope you understand the lecture, and if you have a query, any query, you are free to ask questions. Thank you for the listening.